The following is a conversation with Andriy Boychuk. Andriy is a proud Ukrainian immigrant and is the founder of Flowium, an email marketing agency focused on e-commerce that helps companies improve their marketing ROI. Tune in to hear more about his story. So, Andriy, why does email marketing work?
One of the most important questions right away. So email marketing works because it's free. It's a free marketing channel for businesses, and business on this channel. So it does not control by anybody saying by any algorithm like any other like marketing channel like Facebook saying what you can promote or cannot. If you want to send emails with selling CBDs, you're good to go. Not like other channels blocking you for promoting.
Got it. Fair enough. So it's really you're able to with email marketing not worry about the controls of like platforms like a Snapchat or a Facebook or a Twitter. You can really do whatever you want regardless of it, and it's really highly customized, is what kind of you're
Of
saying.
course, in general, yes. In general, yes. Of course, you have to be careful not to go to spam versus inbox, but
Sure.
in general, yes.
Is there on that note, are there any tips and tricks people can use to make sure their emails don't end up in someone's spam folder, or that's just how it usually goes?
Of course, I mean there's a lot of things you can do, and we have like entire checklist when we start to work with the clients. But the few rules of thumbs. First, first of all, your dedicated sending domain is not very hard to set it up. It might take for technical person to do between 5 to 10 minutes to set it up and wait for 24 hours to be in effect. But basically you have to do some changes on CNAME record on back of your domain to enable. So when you send out marketing emails, it will say send from your brand name versus send from MailChimp X, Y, and Z something. So this is one of the like one of the most important things to do. Also the list cleaning. What we see a lot, people have a list 5 years old and they just bombarding them like every month or every week to the same list over and over and over, and maybe only 70 of maybe 30% of that list is like engaged, and everybody is that. So this is it affects your sender reputation. So sender reputation is like your
Everything.
credit score, like like those credit score, like you when you go to bank and apply for mortgage or like car loan, they check your credit score,
Mhm.
and with email marketing is sender reputation.
Got it. I love the comparison that you made earlier. You were like, it's your credit score. The other thing I thought was interesting. So it sounds like there's quite a bit of back end work too to make sure that people know it's not just coming from a MailChimp or kind of another typical, big marketing company. You usually have to do some work on the back end. So it's super customized, and also for people to really maintain those lists and do list cleanup, not just so they're bombarding the same customers from the 1960s all over
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
Got it. Interesting. Do you think there are any misconceptions about email marketing that people have? Like sometimes they hear about it and they're like, oh, no, we don't want to bombard people with emails, or it's not the most effective method.
Yes and no. Like if like when we work with bigger brands, like everybody knows it's money generating machine for them. It's like big chunk of their business. With those brands, it's not there, not many misconceptions. But for smaller brands, and let's say I'm talking somebody like 20 millions in revenue or less per year, sometimes we have to push it back because they say like, oh, I don't want to bombard my like a list with so many emails. When we present the strategy and our like typical strategy, it might include like between like 40 to 70 emails like built in automations. And when we present it, they're like, whoa, it's too much for us, like we cannot send so many emails to our clients. And we have to explain them that the email we send, they are segmented, goes to separate people, not to all emails to all people. They are behavior triggered, they are personalized. So this is one of the biggest misconceptions, that like, oh, I don't want to bombard my list. Second misconception is that like, oh, it's like I mean, it's very similar, like we spamming people. It's not spamming. Like when you send relevant information to people, they want to read and they want to engage. So if you send, I don't know, like if you don't have a pad and we send you a pad email, like you don't care about that email because you don't have a pad. But if we send you like what is it, like you're wearing polo t-shirt,
Yeah,
and if we send another color polo t-shirt or have a matching pants for that t-shirt,
for
I
sure.
mean, I'm not saying you will buy from that email, but at least it will caught your attention to check out the full outfit.
Got it. Interesting. I know from what I learned in school, and this was, I hate to say, quite a few years ago, but email marketing has one of the highest ROIs, right? Depending on like initial investment and kind of what people
Correct.
usually generate from it.
Correct.
Is there any
So
way? Yep.
I mean, the rule of thumb is like for every dollar you invest, you will get $38 back.
Got it. That's a 38x is a great ROI. A lot of investors would would do anything to get such an ROI. I think a lot of people make maybe 2x or 3x in 4 or 5 years. So 38x is a great great multiple. The other thing about email marketing, is there any way to track? I'm thinking that the best way to phrase this, but a lot of times we hear like a blended marketing cost between kind of, you know, between costs that you can measure, like in how you get revenue, and then costs that, you just spend, and there's no direct way to measure it. Is there any, if that kind of makes sense, is there any way to measure directly kind of the revenue generated from email marketing, or is it one of those kind of blended costs, you would say?
Sure. By the way, great question. So it's called in marketing space. It's called attributed revenue, like like how much that specific marketing channel brought to you. And since we are like email marketers, and this is our like main channel, and also we do SMS marketing, we are able to show to the client like, oh, this is how much email brought, and this is how much SMS brought. But to be realistic and look at the overall picture, I personally believe it's not the right approach. So, like, let's say if you use Google Analytics, this is what I always recommend to brands. You need to use one system, let's say Google Analytics, one of the best one, and use one attribution model, let's say last click or last open, whatever your definition is, but you need to track all your marketing channel by that definition. This way, you will have 100% of your revenue divided into different channels. So email marketing brought us 20%, Facebook brought us like 5%, and the other channel brought us so much. So in my opinion, this is the best approach versus narrowing down each channel and getting the attributed revenue from each platform, because our platform will be probably inflated, or somebody might be coming from Facebook but opening our email and then finding us on a Google. So like,
How do you
how
attribute
should you
that?
divide?
Okay, so really being able to define where kind of the last point was, or kind of the last link was. I'm no software engineer, so sorry if this is a really bad explanation, but really being able to define where that source of customer came from, like the last source they were on to when they actually purchased something, and that will, being like understanding that will help you know really what your ROI is across different platforms or marketing schemes.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, got it. Really interesting. Appreciate the knowledge around that. Um, what do you think are the biggest challenges with e-commerce and marketing, or maybe email marketing in general?
Actually, this is what we just discussed.
Hmm.
The challenge is
Right.
the revenue attribution,
Mhm.
because each platform trying to steal that attribution and say, hey, like Facebook made you, I don't know, like 50% of your total revenue, and then email marketing made you like 30%. And if you add all those percentage, it will probably equal to 300%, which is not real because it has to be 100%. And so a lot of e-commerce brands do not have like clear understanding of their analytics.
Mhm. So on that note, was there a clear way to understand analytics? Like, is it something like installing cookies, or kind of allowing just certain, obviously not super super in depth, but allowing certain kind of tracking on a website? Like, how does a company really get those analytics so they know kind of where their best marketing ROI comes from?
I mean, the best solution for each brand is to have some kind of analysts on their team responsible for this.
Mhm.
So, but I know it's sometimes it's expensive, first of all, to find and to hire that person, but or they can do hire some consultants to set up Google Analytics properly for them, so they can define the attributions correctly.
Got it. Interesting. Do you think on a this is a bit of a touchy question, but do you ever think that people have privacy concerns regarding kind of where revenue came from, or that's usually not something people worry about?
You mean the consumer or the brand?
No, no, the consumer. Like, say for example, do you think consumers are ever concerned with like, oh, like I don't like that they know that I bought it through marketing, or oh, I don't know that they like it through Facebook, or that's not something usually is worried
Here's
about.
my take. I think people care about their privacy, but they do not understand what is involved. Like if you're scrolling Facebook and they showing you pet food, but you don't have a pet, it's a bad experience for you.
Yep.
But that pet brand shows you their advertising because you have like do not allow tracking and they have no clue who you are and they kind of showing you random advertising. So people might say like, oh, I care about my privacy and I don't want you to know anything about me. But if you dig deeper and if you explain how everything works, they will say, oh no, actually, you know what, I want personalized ads, I want personalized things to give me, because everybody likes, like
Customized experience.
something relevant to them and not to some other person.
Got it. Interesting. So you're saying you think most people, whether they admit it or not, like some light tracking just so they can have a more like a more fluid and personalized experience and not just seeing random stuff online.
100%.
Okay, got it. I think that's a really interesting take because I know it's especially with privacy, it's a very touchy topic. Like I have my own opinions on that, and that's virtually we're always kind of under watch, so I'm just kind of at peace with whatever the situation is. But no, I know.
Listen, Danny, so I'm not sure if you have any friends or relatives who works in a government,
Mhm.
but like, do you have TikTok on your phone? Do you use like the app
Techno, what's it called again?
TikTok?
Uh,
TikTok.
very very loosely. I'm trying to only use it for business, but once in a while, like I don't. So
But
I think it's
is it on your phone?
it's not on my phone. No, it's only on my computer.
Oh, okay, but many people have it on their phone, and it's like even if you have the app and you said do not allow tracking, by I know that if you work for a government, they have in their contract that they do not allow you to have TikTok on their phone. Because why? Because it might track more than it shows. It
Exactly.
tells you like what's tracking. So it's not about like saying to that to Apple or Android. I'm not sure how Android works. Like, do not. I do not allow to track it. There's other ways around it to track you.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's shown. I think a lot of those websites are really creative in how they do tracking, and I think TikTok has just mastered the form of like showing someone 5 videos, and then they could probably name a bunch of different characteristics around them.
Have you ever visited a website and their cookie pop up like accept all cookies?
So it does, but the thing I've noticed now that I started really thinking about it, it's always in like the bottom corner. So it's like you just click accept because you don't want it to ruin your experience. You don't really know what you're clicking on. So like every
Yeah,
time you
try to click do not accept and nothing will change. So this is the thing, like, is it real, like, or you just clicking the button?
got it. That's a good point too. Unfortunately I don't have access to their backends, but it'll be interesting to see what
In
happens.
Europe, if you said do not accept, they actually do not allow you to visit the website, which
Really?
actually force you to go back and say accept because I wanted to go to that website.
Mhm. Got it. That's very interesting. I didn't know that. There's also on that note, there's like I'm sure you've heard about it. There's a big I don't know if it's a Chinese website or like the Chinese Amazon called Temu, where like everything is super super duper cheap, and apparently this company runs at a loss, but they make up the money from selling customer data. So, say for example, you can get like I hate to say this like live on the show, but you can get like counterfeit goods or like goods that aren't brand name, but
Mm.
the quality is very similar and very cheap, like $10, $15. But then essentially, apparently, I read on the news about it that it tracks everything. So similar to TikTok, but from a consumer perspective.
Yeah. So it's I mean, it's crazy, and like I don't want to go into like conspiracy
The rabbit
theory
hole.
thing, but
Yeah.
even like Telegram, the one of the biggest messenger app, it's like, listen, all their servers are in Russia and controlled by Russians in Russia, not outside of Russia. So, and everybody says like, oh no, it's safe, and okay, you said this.
Yeah. No, it's crazy to think how easy it is, like, and how unless it's really something you're looking for from a consumer perspective, it's not something you really notice. So, hopefully that information is used for good email marketing purposes in the future. Interesting note there. Before you worked or before you kind of started your own kind of email marketing consultancy, I know you worked as an engineer. How was that transition from working as, an engineer to just kind of doing your own thing within marketing?
It was a difficult, like if I describe it in one word. So I did not plan to do what I do, and I didn't even plan to open a business. So when I quit my engineering job, I used to have a website for Ukrainian immigrants here in US. So I was blogging about how to adapt to American lifestyle, how to open business card, credit card, how to get a car loan, and so forth. Everything in Ukrainian, and I use email marketing to personalize journeys. Somebody who just came to US, somebody who's planning to come to US. And when I quit my job, I was planning to do this full time, but I couldn't monetize it. So I burned all my savings in 3 months. And honestly, I was kind of done. So I start freelancing on Upwork. And after like 1 month, I realized that there's not much competition in email marketing, and it looks like people don't know how to do it. So I'm like, okay, let me start betting on those projects. So I will start winning projects, but all kind of projects. Like I was worked for like coaches, for lawyers, for dentists, setting up the automations and funnels for them. When I got my first e-commerce client, I realized it's like a light bulb above my head like went on and it like light up, and I'm like, oh, it's so easy to show the person the return on investment. Okay, they pay me like $500. I set up those emails for them, and I generate them like $30,000, and it's like count their whatever the return on investment there is, but it was very clear understanding, and then I start to focusing on e-commerce brands, and people start to refer me. I was extremely cheap. I mean, I always live in New York, and I charge very little. Like at that moment, I just didn't know what I was doing. But in terms of pricing myself, like I knew how to do the service, but in terms of like how much I should charge, I was clueless. So I was at the point where I had 20, 20 to like 20, 22, 24 clients, managing myself, doing all, all their email marketing, and I was just burnt out. The money was good. Like I'm not complaining about that, but I didn't have time even to spend those money. Like it was kind of work nonstop. So at that moment, I knew some agencies already, some companies who do email marketing as well. And I went to one guy and say, listen, I'll pay you. Could you please teach me how you do it? Because I'm burnt out. I'm almost done. And he was kind enough, like he told me the price. That moment was a stretch for me, but I said, okay, let's do it. I don't care. And I paid the price, and he taught me how. In 3 months, he taught me how he built his agency, and I just follow his like footsteps. And since then, I created the agency, start hiring people, and now we are 80 to 85 people, like employees. Um, Mostly 50% of our team are US and Canada based, and the rest are all over the world.
Got it. Awesome. So for those that don't know, the agency is called Flomium, right?
Florium, yes.
William, awesome. And I think it's really funny what you said earlier. I think a lot of successful entrepreneurs have that saying at some point or not. They're like, in the beginning, I honestly didn't know what I was doing. I was just trying to figure stuff out. So cool that that happened to you, and awesome that you were able.
Listen, Daniel, I make fun of myself now. Like at that moment, I'm still like you can pick it up that like I'm Ukraine. My English is not perfect,
It's all
but
good.
at that moment, I didn't even know the word agency existed. You know, like so. This is how green I was in this like digital marketing agency world.
Got it. But no, look, you were able to make it, and hopefully you keep on growing. On that note, obviously, client privacy is important. But do you have any crazy client stories that you have, or any memorable engagements that really stood out to you? If you can't
Define
speak,
crazy. No, no. I
no,
mean, I can name the clients, and I don't have any confidentiality unless like we talk about dollar amounts.
look,
But
just
define
quickly
crazy, like
whatever. I'm saying, like, you could share whatever you could share. I just want to make sure with you, like, I'm not infringing on anyone's NDA or anything
yeah.
here.
I worked on actually originally when Mr. B is a big YouTuber.
Cool.
Some of you probably know him. When he
I think
opened
everyone
his
probably knows.
so when he opened their merch shop, um, we did email marketing for him, but it was weird setup because we were doing this through as a white label company. So basically, we did the service, but we did it under another company's name. So
Mhm.
which is common. We don't do that anymore, but in the past, to survive, to get more clients, we I mean, it was one of our options.
Got it.
Also, we did work with Mars, a big chocolate manufacturer, but with one of the company they at that time they acquired, Cocovia, and we were working with like big corporation. Yeah, like mostly like lately we were trying to go into mid market and enterprise level brands.
Got it. It's interesting, kind of what you said earlier, because I think that's a secret that a lot of big advisory, a lot of big consulting firms have. They'll land these big and lucrative contracts, then they'll outsource a lot of the work. So it's probably convenient that you don't have to deal with them anymore, and you could actually get paid for the work that you're doing.
Yeah,
Definitely. Cool to hear that. So, Andrei, what does the entrepreneurial mindset, when you hear that, what does that mean to you?
it's a simple but at the same time like a very loaded question. And my answer probably will change over time.
That's everyone.
Yeah, like when I started my business, it was like hustle. Like you have to hustle, hustle, hustle. Like Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V always said, like you have to hustle, don't sleep 6 hours, 4 hours at work. I like work, work, work. It was at that stage of my business, it was the right approach, and this is how I grew. But right now is actually strategic, to be more strategic, more to be an adult in my business, own business, not to be a child, not to be reactive. It's so easy for entrepreneurs as a when I hear entrepreneur mindset, it's like hustle, rolling sleeves up and get to work. But I'm trying to train my mind right now. That at this stage of my business, it's not the right approach. So
Mhm.
I need to work like strategical, and sometimes it takes weeks to make something different, because that kind of work it gets you to a certain point, but it will not get to the next level.
I think the entrepreneurial mindset, in my humble opinion, if I don't know if I would consider myself one just running a podcast, but I think it's more of an art than a science because I think, and would love to know your thoughts on this, but that every entrepreneur has to go through that kind of hustle stage before they could get to that work smart stage. Because in that hustle stage, you learn all the quirks and how to streamline how to do things. So then when you get to the more strategic side, you can solve issues very quickly as opposed to kind of taking or having them get bottlenecked.
100% agree. Think that also happen in the middle or during this journey, where you get to the point where you are comfortable, whatever it means for you, is there money, resource, like people, clients, and you hit the plateau, and this is probably the most dangerous point, and that's why I think many companies right now in financial trouble, because everybody became so comfortable because the economy was amazing. And right now when the economy is like a little bit less amazing, everybody's like screaming, oh, bad economy, everything will, like, I don't know, like go bad, and everybody's screaming. But realistically, we are, as a business owners, entrepreneurs, we are making economy, and not economy like doing things for us. So I think our economy, I mean, there's many massive reasons, but only from business perspective, I think we had very good times for very long, and a lot of people just relaxed and become comfortable where they are.
Yeah, for sure. I know with the rates were when they were as low as they were, people could a lot of big deals were happening. But I really like the phrase that you said. The economy doesn't make us; we make the economy as entrepreneurs. So
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that was
100%.
beautifully said. Are there any big trends that you see happening in marketing right now, in email marketing or just marketing in general, that you think businesses or small business owners should be aware of?
Going back to that discussion about ROI of marketing channels,
Mhm.
I see that cost of advertising is going up. The AI, it's playing big role in the digital marketing space, that a lot of like processes in advertising is like replaced. So I think the cost of ads will go up, and with even with AI, it would be much, 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 much higher. So this is what I currently see, and also since ChatGPT become public to everybody, marketers become lazier. So this is the big trend I currently see. They start to crank the content, but not valuable content. This is just like AI generated content, which is, as a human being, you can read it and you said like it's not good. So I think that a lot of marketers will die during, I mean, as a professionals
Medical, yeah.
in this, I mean, in this, not economy, but this industry change with AI.
Got it. Okay, so increasing costs and AI kind of being really integrated with marketing. I'm happy actually you brought that up, because another thing I wanted to get into was AI. Seems to be the hot topic these days, and something you hear about in every earning call. But how do you think AI is going to be utilized best for email marketers?
No, for email marketers, no. We until now we playing with this, we testing things, but it's not something that kind of can.
Replace you
I
guys
don't.
or help
Yeah,
you,
I don't. Yeah, I don't want to say replace.
but
Um,
aid you guys in what
y-
you do.
yeah, you go into. There's so many moving pieces. It's not like writing a blog post. You write the blog post, that's it. Like there's like different like things you have to do here, then you have to create design, then you have to chop it out and put it in the in marketing system. You need to run some tests. So after you do all those things, you're like, oh, it's easier for us to do than I mean, maybe in the future there will be some kind of software that like you just, like, this is how AI works right now. The output as good as the input. Like they're saying garbage in, garbage out.
Mm-hmm.
So if you like put a bad input, there will be bad output. I mean, it can do as much as you like put in. You cannot just say like, hey, could you please create me a newsletter about Halloween with 30% off? It's like it can,
That's
but question, what are you selling? What is your customer pain points? What is the segment you're trying to send it like, and what is deadline? What you're trying to achieve with it? What's the call to action? What kind of images you want to use, and stuff like that. So there's you need to have that knowledge to even ask.
Got it. Interesting. So if you can, it can be utilized in a good way, but you have to have good knowledge beforehand. You can't just expect it to do all the work, basically.
Uh, in good way, maybe one day, but not. not at this moment for email marketing.
Okay, I think that's
There's a lot of industry. There's a lot of industry where you can use it, but not at this moment. I don't see it for email marketing
okay.
unless it's analyzing analytics. Let's say you want to analyze 1 year of your subject line's performance and find some kind of patterns, and the AI will tell you, okay, so the pattern is like if you use word blah blah blah, your open rate is 3% higher than any other subject line. So for analytics, it's good. For content creation, it's not.
Okay. I think that's a fair assessment, and it'll be interesting to see where that goes in the future. Another thing that I found on your website that I thought was really interesting was a blog titled "Mastering the Subject Line." So, do you have any quick advice for how a company can literally master the subject line when writing an email?
Um, it's it it comes to testing. Like the answer I'll give you today. Listen, if there's like one rule of thumb for everybody that everybody can use, and let's say everybody will listen to this podcast tomorrow, it will not be a good subject line. Like there was for a very long time, and still until now, you can prospect via email. They use a subject line quick question. And I have a bunch of those emails on daily basis. Sorry, lying, not on daily, on weekly basis, where it says quick question, quick question, quick question. And like listen, they probably listen to this
Yeah.
YouTube influencer, and he said about quick question, everybody. So try to like try to test it. Let's say I'm volunteering right now for Ukrainian organization here in US, non for profit, and for them, what I did, whatever subject line we do, we put Ukrainian flag at the front, because right now, like for the last 2 years, Ukrainian war is like big news, and people can, like it will draw your attention. So when you open the inbox, that specific email will stand out because it has emoji. I'm not saying you're supposed to use emoji, but if you have it all depends on the industry. Like if you sell on clothing, try to put a t-shirt and see how it stand out. And some brands I know they personalize, sorry, they kind of brand their subject lines, like either use specific keyword or they use specific emoji, and every time they send, they use that thing. But the rule of thumb, the best, if you, let's say, if you don't you want to improve email open rate right away, just use the person's first name. It will boost the open rate right away. So instead of 30% off, it's like Daniel, comma, today we have 30% off. It will boost the open rate right away.
Interesting. So whether it's something like an emoji or something like a first name, just something to have like instant integration or instant identification, and that you really need that click. And I think a lot of times people overthink how to get that, but it's really as simple as thinking about what your consumer likes and trying to just simplify that as much as possible.
Or another way to do something like so random or so unconventional, but your brand has to be
Mm.
online with that. For example, if you're, let's say, consulting company, and you do
Mhm.
something crazy, it will not click with people. But one brand, Chubbies, they sell shirts, and their all subject line was capital Z, small z, and like a lot of Z's to the end. And when you open the email, they say like, "Oh, our copywriter fell on the keyboard and fell asleep." Like it's like it's funny, but all their emails are funny.
Got it. It's an interesting way. So, interesting kind of notes on that. I definitely think that's really useful. Toward the end, the latter part of the show, I like to get into kind of 5 fun questions. So I think
Mhm.
you'll like answering these. But Andre, if you could go back and talk to your 10 or 20-year-old self, what advice would you give him?
I like Tony Robbins' quote. I'm not sure if he who said it originally. Um, we expect too much from ourselves what we can do in 1 year, but undervalue what we can do in 5 years.
Hmm. Interesting.
So
You,
this
you
is
know,
what I would share with myself.
You know what's funny about that? I think my very, very first guest, I think his name was Charles Reed, also said the same thing, and I think he tried to play
Really?
along. Yeah, my very, very first guest is he said that, and I
I
think
I I thought you would say like my first guess was Tony Robbins. Like, whoa.
no, 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 not yet, not yet. But no, my very first guest said the same thing, and I think he maybe tried to play it off as though he said it himself. I mean, maybe it's just something he had in his head, but interesting to hear that great leaders think like that. And I definitely agree in the sense that, I think a lot of times the brains our brains work and are wired these days. We want instant gratification or something instantly. So we're like, oh, within a year, we're going to run like a Fortune 500 company. When realistically, you fail a million times, and then the million and first, you find something, and
Yeah.
usually that takes a few years to find out. So definitely resonate with you there. Is there a strange fact about yourself that not a lot of people know?
Actually, yes. It was exercise we were doing in like a company kind of retreat, and we had similar thing, but it's like true false, and I said it, and everybody says false. So once I back in Ukraine, I won a competition of shoemaking, like leather shoemaking, and
Interesting.
not many people knows about it. And how it went back home, we had classes where we made things with our hands. I don't know how to say it in English, and to kind of not to go to classes, I went to this competition. So they say like either you go to competition or you go to school. And to skip school, I went for this competition and I did great job and I won this competition for leather shoemaking.
Got it. Interesting. That's a really fun fact. I think always people whenever I ask these kind of questions, I like how they take a moment to think about it. They're like, oh, like what have I done so differently? So that's cool. But the other thing, if you could have dinner with anyone else in history, kind of dead or alive, who would it be and why?
Ooh, I don't know why, but it's like first what comes to my head right now. Even I see uh, his like face right now, Nelson Mandela. Even like why it would be hard for me to answer, but I think this is very he's very like strong leader, but at the same time as was a good heart. I think just the presence. I don't even know what questions I would ask him, but even to be in presence, like in the same room or by the same table, it would inspire me to be better of myself, kind of stuff.
I think
So
that's a beautiful answer. And today, what would you say brings you happiness in life?
I think progress. Like
That's
if I at the same place, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where. It doesn't have to be business. It can be even workout. But if I see some even slightest progress, I'm happy.
okay. That's awesome. And on that note, Andre, you've been an awesome guest. Have added some great marketing advice. Really great fun answers to the fun questions there. Is there anything else you want to add? Whether it's business advice, relationship advice, life advice, email marketing advice. Final word is yours.
Thank you. Probably business, so email marketing advice. Like if you're a business owner and you do not use email marketing or you don't see any value from it, I strongly recommend for you to start at least sending one email per month to your database. And trust me, you will see positive results. There will be a prospect or there will be past clients who will reach out and say, oh, I didn't know that, can we jump on a call? Or oh, I didn't know that, like how can I buy it or order it? So do it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that final piece of advice, Andre. Thank you so much for taking time to go on the show.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you for listening to my conversation with Andriy Boychuk. If you enjoyed the episode, rate the show on Spotify, drop a comment on YouTube, and subscribe.